What's happening, guys and girls of Fudge Muppet? Today I'm bringing you a new Elder Scrolls 6 discussion, and it's all about birth signs and standing stones. Firstly, before we start the serious talk, I just want to say that something many people do not know is that standing stones are unique to Skyrim. Of course, there are other stones like the Doomstones we saw in Oblivion, which are scattered throughout Tamriel, but we can at least say that standing stones specifically won't be in Elder Scrolls 6. But anyways, I wonder if any kinds of birth sign changing stones will be in the next game. Or perhaps not. What if in Elder Scrolls 6 we could choose our birth sign around the start of the game, like in Morrowind and Oblivion, to give our character a bit more identity? Personally, I quite like this idea, basically because it just adds more flavor to your characters. Something that I know I want in Elder Scrolls 6, which some of you might disagree with, which is fair enough, is that I don't want being able to change your birth sign so accessible. I think it would be much cooler if birth signs were chosen at the start, granted much more useful bonuses, and stayed with you the entire game. It wouldn't necessarily disadvantage you either, as if you wanted to be a mage but picked the Tower Stone, you would still have some nice unique benefits and still be able to be an awesome mage. I think if you did something like pick the Mage Stone for a full-on warrior character, you still have the option to change it when leaving the tutorial-like area of the game. But not everyone plans their character before making them. And to these people I'd say to pick more neutral signs like the Tower Stone or Lover Stone, because in the end birth signs don't affect the game too drastically. However, for people that really do have a change of heart while playing and really desire a new birth sign, there should be a solution. This solution, I think, could be some sort of difficult quest that's really enjoyable and would run similarly to some sort of more epic curing vampirism quest. If Elder Scrolls 6 was set in Hammerfell, for example, you may need to travel out into the middle of a desert to track down a seer who is rumored to have the power to change one's destiny. She could send you on a bunch of mini quests that all involve unique locations, so you can then retrieve ingredients to be used for a potion. You drink this potion under the moonlight in a sacred desert area, and then you have the power to change your birth sign. There could of course be Doomstones in Hammerfell, or wherever Elder Scrolls 6 is set, but perhaps there won't be any, or maybe there's just one, in a unique and hard to find location. I can imagine there would be some sort of cool stones around the place, however, like the province's equivalent of the Allmaker stones from Solstheim. But anyway, now it's time for me to say that standing stone effects in Skyrim were very underdeveloped, and whether or not you can change your birth sign in Elder Scrolls 6 isn't the most important thing. The most important thing about birth signs in Scott's and my opinion is that they need to be much more useful and much more unique. In Skyrim, you basically had your standing stones and the birth sign effects from them that were better than others. The majority of people always ended up using the Lord Stone, the Ritual Stone or the Atronach Stone, and maybe even the Lady Stone. The other stones often just became useless as you progressed through the game. For example, the Warrior, Mage, Thief, and Lover Stone all just affected your skill progression rate. After you'd maxed your magic skills as a mage, you had no reason to use the Mage Stone anymore. It went like that for all of those. The Apprentice Stone was a standing stone I thought just wasn't worth it because it gave you 100% Magicka regen, which was nice, but at the heavy price of having 100% weakness to magic. The positive definitely wasn't worth the negative. Next up, the Serpent Stone. This was very weak. 5 seconds of paralysis and 25 points of poison damage once per day. Definitely not that useful, especially after buying the paralysis spell. Moving on to the Shadow Stone, this is a bit of an exception, but not really. The Shadow Stone was great at the start of the game, but eventually stealth characters could just get the invisibility spell. Now, of course, if you wanted to play a thief, assassin, or any character for that matter who didn't use magic, then I guess you could use it, but you see my point that it just wasn't unique and could be replaced by in-game spells. The Steed Stone just gave you 100 extra carry weight, which wasn't that useful, especially if you're organized, and it also removed movement penalty from armor. However, if you're investing perks into these armors you're using, movement penalty could just be negated that way, essentially making the standing stone useless. The Tower Stone let you unlock an expert or lower skill lock once a day, which again was cool to begin with, but eventually you found you had the talent to lockpick it yourself. As you can see, while some of these standing stones abilities are not completely redundant, most of them just aren't worth it for endgame characters and most don't add any identity to your character. Why have 100 extra points of carry weight when you can have 50 additional points to your armor rating and a massive 25% resistance to magic by using the Lordstone? Maybe if you want to roleplay a hoarder, then it's great, but birth sign effects really need an overhaul. The Disparity Overhaul mod in Skyrim does this to a decent degree, so let's have a look through some of the changes it makes to the Standing Stones. The Mage Stone, instead of making your magic skills progress faster, actually helps mage characters in battle, making spells 10% more effective. This would actually become more useful the further you progress in the game, because a higher damage spell is going to have a higher damage bonus. Another example, the Steed Stone not only gives the character 100 extra carry weight, but actually increases your movement speed by 10%. This makes the character more unique. You actually have a character who is fast and agile, and it shows. The Serpent Stone, instead of being quite boring, is actually made one of the most interesting choices. It gives the player a 50% resistance to poison, makes created poisons 10% stronger, and makes poisons applied to weapons last an additional hit. The Lordstone was actually nerfed in this mod, which was probably a good idea, giving you 75 points of armor rating but only a 15% resistance to magic. Now the Ritual Stone was also changed to a lesser power, meaning you can use it multiple times, but it actually costs 100 health to cast, and had its duration decreased as well. Personally, I think that sounds so cool, because it's like you're using dark blood magic to defeat your enemies. It just adds that much more quality to the game and to your character. I'll leave a perk link in the description so you can check the mod out if you're interested, but overall, birth sign effects need to be more unique, more balanced, not be replaceable by skills and perks, and finally, in my opinion, not be able to be switched extremely easily. And that wraps up this week's Elder Scrolls 6 discussion on birth signs and their effects. Thanks for watching, and if you haven't already subscribed but do watch our videos, or you've never heard of Fudge Muppet before, then subscribe now for more Elder Scrolls, Fallout, and Star Wars. My name is Michael, and I'll see you soon.